Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. Many people ask me to do a follow-up video for Alan Wake 2 in regards of HDR because some people are actually claiming that HDR is different now after a couple of patches, and if I'm not wrong, then we're counting 11 or 12 patches already. So at least my version right now, when I did my re-analysis for HDR, my version right now is on 1012. So that's my current state, okay? So most of the part what you're going to see in this video is from the PC version, but of course I made sure that my new analysis, my new recommendation is the same or counts the same for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series. So I analyzed HDR and yes, I found differences compared to my first video, but not in regards of how HDR is implemented. It is more about the settings. So I would say let's start from the very beginning. And as always, we have to start with the HDR system level calibration, and this game Alan Wake 2 supports on the PC, on the PlayStation 5, on the Xbox Series, the HDR system level calibration. That means whatever you set up in this menu is the maximum peak brightness in specular highlights. But unfortunately it's not that simple because we have additional settings in the game which are changing the maximum peak brightness in specular highlights as well. But before we talk about this, before we talk about the maximum peak brightness and specular highlights, let's talk about the settings what we have in the game. And there's the first change what I found to my preview version, okay? So when I tested the game back then, that was a preview version from Remedy, okay? So without any patches, without any updates and stuff like that, okay? So over the time, of course, they changed a couple of things, and they changed actually also the setting, because in the very beginning, and if you watched my videos, when you put this to 100%, the game brightness, my preview version was actually going up to 800 nits, which is of course ridiculous bright for, or let's say like this, for a paper white setting. What this means, 800 nits is a little bit too much, I would say. Anyway, over the time they changed this. Now 100 is just 500 nits, okay? So, and now we're talking about, or we should talk about this setting here, game brightness in combination with maximum peak brightness. Specular highlights like here, very bright parts on like the sun or lights or whatever, because this setting here, the game brightness setting, is or has a very big impact on the maximum peak brightness in specular highlights. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about how the game brightness setting in Alan Wake 2 is affecting the maximum peak brightness in specular highlights like this bulb here. So right now the game brightness setting is set to 50 and we have a maximum peak brightness of around 750 candela. And please keep in mind the HDR system level calibration for this game on my PC is set to 1000 nits for the LG G2. So if we now going and we're just increasing this setting here, brightness setting, let's say to 100, which is probably too much for some of you, but now you can see we have suddenly 962 candela, which of course is much better in regards of how your specular highlights are actually looking on the screen, because this now is not dull anymore and you can clearly see it is very bright and it is more authentic, more real, okay? So with changing, let's change this back, and I know it's very hard to see actually on the camera, but I'm very sure I recorded a couple of very nice examples. But with just setting or leaving the game brightness set to 50, specular highlights are very dull. I don't like it, to be very honest. So some of them are not reaching the maximum peak brightness of your display or of your settings, from your settings in the HDR system level menu, calibration menu. But we need to be honest here as well, or we need to talk about maximum peak brightness. So we don't need to have all the time maximum peak brightness and specular highlights, okay? There's no must for this, but you would expect, of course, that especially in stuff like that here, the bulb or lights or sun or whatever, you have of course a lot of maximum peak brightness, because usually when I'm looking here at my bulbs right now, it's just very bright, okay? So you're getting actually blinded, okay? You get my point. So you expect the same here as well. you can't hardly look in a bulb like that. It is not possible. But with setting 50, it is absolutely not enough in my opinion. So the problem what I have now, and now we're talking about black level floor. So the HDR black level floor in this game, it is on spot if it is necessary, or if the creators like you to see perfect OLED black, okay? At this very moment here, there is no perfect OLED black, and I can show you this, but this is not a big problem because that's how it is at the moment, okay? So you can see we have a lot of raised black. So even we're going a little bit further, and I don't want to go too much because there are enemies coming and I'm very afraid of this. But anyway, can you see right now everything is dark, so I can see maybe a little bit of raised blacks here already, but you can see we are not even close to reach zero black, okay? Regardless of what you set, okay? So you can now, of course, decrease the game brightness to 0 and you will actually get the black level floor a little bit down. So the problem we talked about is game brightness setting 50 is not giving you the maximum peak brightness and specular highlights. So my recommendation is actually increase the value as you like it, okay? So increase it. So my recommendation is actually 75, what I'm using for the G2. The problem now is, let's just do this and let's just go nuts, and we're going to increase this to 100 again. And let's have a look here what you can see here now. Oh, let's just jump out. Now we even increased our black level floor even further, which of course is right now not the best way to do. Okay, because this very scene here at the moment is already a little bit washed out by creators' intent. That's how it is, okay? So even when you turn off the light and you step a little bit back, I hope you can see this, this is a little bit foggy, misty here, which is absolutely fine. I love it. It's not that you have a feeling that everything is washed out because of bad black level floor. That looks really, really great. But the more you increase the game brightness, the more you create this foggy, misty effect, okay? So and now, of course, it's up to you. If you like to have really nice specular highlights, that means you have to increase the game brightness to a certain level. 100, of course, is probably a little bit too much, but then you get the most out of specular highlights. Or you like to have a little bit of a darker picture, or let's say you like to keep the best combination between contrast or very dark areas and very bright areas, then you shouldn't increase the game brightness setting. So very hard, of course, for me to recommend something for you. I personally don't like game brightness set to 50 because I think it's just a little bit too less. And especially when you play the game now with HDR enabled, then I personally found that game brightness setting 50 is just a little bit too less. And the reason is quite simple, because, you know, on a day like this here, when we walking outside here, and I hope I don't spoil it too much, and yeah, but anyway, let's just jump out here. We have a very nice day because we have a very nice sun here, and this right now is, yeah, game brightness set to 100, and I really like it because the picture looks very bright and powerful. So with setting game brightness to 50, to be very honest, I don't like it that much, because it just looks very, very dark, or compared to 100, of course. So I'm missing the effect from the bright sun, to be very honest here. When I'm looking at here, of course, yeah, it was just recently raining and stuff like that, but you get my point. We have here nice sun. It's a sunny day, actually, after the clouds or after the rain disappeared. So I'm expecting a little bit more. So game brightness setting 50 in combination with HDR on my LG G2, I'm not happy. Complete different story maybe with your screen or with your monitor and with your environment. So, but I have to say, I'm playing games like that in a complete or almost complete dark environment, okay? There's not much light on, okay? So again, game brightness 50, for me personally in this game with HDR enabled, not enough. And before we're now finishing this video, let's talk about HDR color space. And yes, we have, yeah, I wouldn't say a lot of use of HDR colors in this game, but we have at least some. And I like to make this very, very clear. There is no need for any game or any movie that we have 100% color space used of BT 2020. So Because we have a lot of colors in the normal SDR range, which are perfectly fine. And most of the colors here, what you can see here right now, is SDR color, and it is absolutely fine. It looks fantastic at the moment. And right now you can't expect any vibrant colors anyway. Okay, so that's just my opinion. That's just my 2 cents. In regards of the colors, I'm very happy with Alan Wake 2. There's nothing to complain about. Okay, so what is now my conclusion? What is my summary in regards of HDR? In my recap here, after 12 patches, patch 1.0.12, that's what I have right now installed. And I have to say, nothing has changed in general in regards of HDR. The only thing what has changed is they reduced the brightness. Okay, or let's say the brightness capabilities from the in-game settings. That's the only thing what I can see so far what they have changed. Because I have to say, I mean, back then 800 nits paper white setting or average picture brightness is just way too much. It was blowing out some details. It was for many screens probably way too much. HDR, even then back then 100% game brightness was just not good looking because it's over bright and everything. Okay, right now I think with game brightness setting 50, it is for me personally just way too dark. But I have to admit, as soon as you're using something like dynamic tone mapping on an LG OLED TV or similar TV, then of course it's a complete different story. And yeah, at the end it's absolutely up to you. The only thing what you need to keep in mind is that when you leave game brightness set to 50, you will also have some disadvantages with most of the specular highlights in this game. That's how it is, unfortunately. Increasing the game brightness will just give you more maximum peak brightness in specular highlights. That's how it is, unfortunately. That's what the creator's intent was or still is. I'm still happy about the presentation. I have to admit, I really like the presentation. I like how the game looks like. It's just almost perfect, okay? Almost perfect, and I have to admit, I haven't played this game for a long time. But as soon as I'm retired, I will do it. Thank you very much for watching me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.